Last line, no? On the page on the test.
No?
Huh? Last line on the page of the test, no?
No, we already moved.
Moved?
Yeah.
Alright.
We have to continue on these terms over here. The second line from the top on page Chof. Something cut off on these pages.
On the copies.
Yeah.
That one looks, does that one look better? Sorry. No, not much better.
These will be better. Yeah.
Here, Rabbi Paltiel.
Yeah. Okay, second line from the top on page Chof. So we're saying V'chol Nitzivesecho Shalom. Nitzivesecho Shalom, that refers to the Nitzivos, that refers to Amshocha from Atzmos. Atik. Hagam Shen is Boy Liyil. Although that we had explained before that the Masha Kosev D'Lochecho Dachinoyam, that the first part of the posuk, D'Lochecho Dachinoyam, Arize Gamkin Amshochas Atzmos Shema, that also refers to Amshochas of the Atzm Shema, Shein Eses Firas HaGnuzois, and Eses Firas HaGnuzois, the Haino Eses Firas Kmei Shein Bebchinas Pnimius. We discussed then, this is not the time, Eses Firas HaGnuzois means the Eses Firas, the treasured Eses Firas, meaning Eses Firas as they are treasured internally. Eses Firas Shein Bebchinas Pnimius. Now we're saying no, that maybe there's another madrige in Chol Nitzivesecho or Sholem or Ayin who the Hine bebchinas hapnimis eses firas. The Ayin is that in the pnimis eses firas hagam shehakeim hu mehus echad. Although that in the pnimis everything is mehus echad, is one single mehus. Vehu bebchinas atzmos ein sof. Which is, what is the mahus in Pnimius? The bechina of Atzmos Ein Sof. Even though, as you said, we're just passing through this because of the Kabbalah issues, which is not in our mode of learning, but sometimes we have an opportunity to focus in on the term and to understand certain words. What is mahus? Hagam shehakeim hu mahus echad, and this is hu bechinas atzmos ein sof. What is the word mahus referred to? As we spoke recently, in everything there is what it is and that it is. The fact that it is. What it is, for instance, Ava and Yira, Chesed and Gvura. These are all qualities of enormous significance, enormous value. But their significance and value does not explain the fact that they are there. That it is. In our terms, when we talk about the Masholim on the human level, a table has its significance and value, has its service, human service. But we always explain that is its service, its place in the human life. But why is it there in the first place? What is the mahus of this? Let's elaborate a bit. It is definitely a convenience for the human being to have a table. What is it in the human being that demands that he should have convenience? That brings out that necessity. And that he relates to it. When he relates to it, it's not just it's convenient. It's kind of an essential need, essential reality. That is a much superior aspect than the actual service that it gives, the convenience. This is what we say, this is what's called the malchus element in the person. Everything has to be perfectly suited. Not because of convenience, or because that's what a human being is. He's a melech. He's got a truth presence. Like we always say, that the nefesh hachaya of an animal simply gives chayas to the goof, but the goof is still dependent on the earth to support it and everything else. Doesn't have an independent presence. The neshama of the human being, that gives the human being an independent presence in the world. He is what's called a tefach above the ground, even though he touches the ground, but he's not really dependent on it. This is the chayas. This is the essence of the human being. This is the mahus. And because of this mahus, this is why everything else is demanded, everything else comes through. Like we readily would say that somebody who eats standing up, like we said, or walks in the street, so we're saying he's not that, we don't say, oh, it's not convenient. We say it's not human. It's a completely different statement. Not convenient, or not convenient. We say that this touches right the essence itself, the mahus. It's not human. It's a completely different statement. This is what it has that an ipnimius, akeluhu mahus echod. And what is the mahus? In essence, Peter's apnimius, bechinas atzmus eirei seif. In other words, what is it? Why is anything there? Because of the etzem. Not because of any functionality element, but because of the truth of atzmus. Those who pshat Esses spheres bepnimius. Because Esses spheres, each sphere has its function. But on a pnimius, in other words, when it genuzes, the way it is, when it is treasured and contained within the etzem, and within itself, so to speak, there it is not because of its functionality. There it is because of the truth of the etzem itself. Okay, just wanted to take the opportunity here. So even though in the Pnimis, as a spheres, everything is Mahus Echot, the very same Mahus, Bekomokoim, yet still Yesh Bozeh Hefresh. There is a difference. Excuse me, Beis Madrego Hi. With on what Madrego we are talking within the Pnimius aspect itself. אם בבחינה זו, או בבחינה עתיק שבבינו, או בבחינה עתיק ממוש, וכמי שיסבור. Whether it is in Madrega of Zo, where there's a spheres per se, or in Atik Shebebino, which we'll discuss later, Atik Shebebino or B'chinas Atik Mamush. In general, we know clearly that Atik means this is the source of the spheres. And the reason that there is a source of spheres in there is because, as we said all the time, that in Etzem Yesh Behakol, it's a completely different presence than in the zones. Mishi Yisboyer. V'zeho Masha Kosu. And this is what the Pasuk is saying, that its pathway is referring to the Torah, are Dachin Noyam. Are the paths of ways of pleasantness. Shuhu Gam Kim B'chinas Noyam Havaya. This Noyam is also referring to the Noyam Havaya, the pleasantness of Havaya, which is B'chinas Atik, Ukmeshin is Boyli, as we explained before. That in Atik there is perfect unity. Mekomokaim, still Zehu Kmei Shuhu B'chinas Eiz HaChayim Dezo. This is the Atik as it is identified in Eitz HaChayim within Zo. Umasha Kosu V'chol Nisiv Zehu Sholem. Then the second part of the Pasuk, V'chol Nisiv Zehu Sholem. Sholem is a different level. Sholem means that everything is truly joined together as one. Zehu B'chinas Hizkalus Atik Shebebina. This is the Atik that as it reveals through Bina. Shezeho Madrega B'china Goveho Yeser, which is a Madrega from a higher B'china.
Is that what we
Just one second. Again, we are not going to. We're going to wait until the explanations of Chassidus come in. But nevertheless, there are certain points that we can notice even at this. The whole concept of Atik Shebebino, this Galus Atik Shebebino, Madrega B'china Goveho Yeser, from a higher B'china. The important point to recognize in this terminology, Atik Shebebino and Madrega B'china Goveho Yeser, is that as things progress down and say that Hishtalshelus, even though each Madrega assumes a new form, a new orientation, like we said, this is Zo, this is Bino, this is Atik, the origin of everything, the essential origin that is the the beginning of everything, follows through the entire Seder Yishtalshelus. Follows through the entire Seder Yishtalshelus. It's a very important principle to understand. We spoke about it actually this week in last week. The Rambam says that the Yisoid HaYisoid is the Amud HaChochmas Leila Sheyesh Shom Motzurish. The first thing is to know that there's the first being. What happens after that? Then after that there's all kinds of different things. What happens to the Motzurish when you begin to be involved in all other things? The Motzurish principle does not dissipate, does not get lost. That remains the basis of everything else. Except that you're recognizing the Motzurish through various other qualities. But what gives everything a presence, it's the Motzurish. So this is why we're saying that this Galus Atik should be Bina. What does Atik have to do with Bina? Atik is a different Madriga. Atik is Kesser. Bina is already a sphere. Atik is above spheres. Just to give us a little bit of perspective, not to get into this, we always say that Seichel is rooted in Rotzen. Atik is like Rotzen and Ayin. Seichel, which is a functioning koyach, it's not an essential. Seichel is something that is on a discovery level. You figure things out, and then you have a kasha, and through the kasha you discover something else, and then you discover something else. It's not an essential reality. It says, like we say, there's a first being, period. Like you know, it's on an essential level. That's what seichel is the process of discovery. Yet, even the seichel at that level of discovery, even in Bina and even in lower Madrigas, essentially it is rooted in Rotz. Like we always say, that why do things really make sense? It's two different things. Now you can prove something, and it makes sense. Why do they make sense? Because of the nefesh, because of the Rotz. That's why it makes sense. You can impose a certain truth because you prove it, but that's not even seichel. That you okay, so you've proven it. Like you have an animal, also like you pointed out, you can train it to respond to two, but it doesn't know what it is. It doesn't make sense because it doesn't have that seichel level. Why does it make sense? Because of the nefesh element, because of the rotzen element. This galus atik should be bina. This is not the madrega of atik, but there is a certain confirmation, an internal confirmation of the truth of the bina. This is the atik, and the galus atik should be. And these are all, and the point is that these are all different madrigas. Atik should be bina is really an inyan that says that that reveals an atzmius element. Anything that we know, when you say this, Rotzen confirms it. Everything that we know, not by personal experience, but by virtue of recognizing that this is the truth, this is all rooted in Atzmos.
He's comparing this against the Darchei Chadarchei Naim, which is how it's revealed in.
So you said the Torah Darchei Naim. You said the Torah Darchei Naim refers to Madriga of Atik in Zoh. And the Chassidus refers to the Atik the way it is in Bina.
it's a more profound recognition of the Atmos element when it's
Right.
in Bina rather than when it's in
Right,
Zah.
on a higher level. We always point out, we got into it a little bit, so that despite the fact that we have a numerous, untold number of different qualities, capabilities. Say with our hands, a person is so dexterous in his hand, it's unbelievable what he can do with his hand, in his 5 fingers. He cannot do anything at all without being related to the essential human being. Everything that a person does is a reflection of what is going on in his mind, in his being. And without that, nothing happens. Like we said, a horse walks because he has feet. A human being walks because he appreciates the whole, he understands what walking is. It's an intellectual activity. And the mind directs the feet to walk. It's a completely different order of things. Okay, let's try to continue. This too, Inyan Koil Shoifer Shehoy B'Matan Torah. This also explains the Koil Shoifer, the fact that there is a Koil Shoifer B'Matan Torah. What is Shoifer Matan Torah? Where is that coming? Hine Shoifer Nikro Yoivel. Shoifer is called Yoivel, K'mishakosu Bim Shoicha Yoivel. Bim Shoicha Yoivel. When the Yoivel, which means the sound of the Shoifer, will have an extended sound. This is, it says, Shoicha Yoivel, Hema Yala B'Hodat. The mountain of Har Sinai is totally off limit because Hashem is on the mountain. When there's going to be a long sound of the Yovel, then the mountain becomes accessible. This is Matan Torah. The Yovel, the Yuval, Yovel and Yuval, Hu Inyan Echad.
Yuval again is the roots.
And Yuval is Shalach Shalosha. Yeah, on the root of water source.
It's like the Nahar.
Like the Nahar, but this is the water source. Nahar is already a Bina. Okamesha Kosov. Where do we see kind of an allusion to Yovel and Yuval? The Pasuk says, Yovel hi shnaz hachamish. This is very fresh in our minds. This is just last week. Yovel hi shnaz hachamish. That the 50th year is called Yovel. What is the implication of the 50th year? What is so special about the 50th year? Shnaz HaChamishim. Shar HaChamishim b'china Shar Hanun Debina. This is the Shar Hanun, this is the 50th gateway of Bina. Normally in Bina are revealed Memtesh Shar Bina, the 49 gateways of Bina, and then there is the 50th Shar Hanun, the 50th gateway. What is the 50th gateway of Bina? Hu inyan his galus atik shebe Bina. The 50th gateway, that is an allusion to the atik that comes through in Bina. Just to give us a little bit of a handle on this, not too far in. Memtes Share Bina. Memtes is 7 times 7, which is the 7 spheres. 7 spheres, even though it is very minutely conjugated, broken down into all kinds of details, and on the contrary, because of the details, it means that this is something which is a composite of things. The chesed complements the gvura complements the chesed, and so forth. And it reaches 49. This is the totality of all conjugations of midas of spheres. What is the 50th here? The 50th. 50 is when you go beyond conjugation. This is what we call the mahus. This is what contains and permits this entire process. And this is the 50. This is his galus atik should be, like we mentioned before. Throughout the whole process of conjugating and correlating, there is a sense of an underlying principle, underlying truth, where the chesed does not stand just on the basis of chesed. There is something deeper than the chesed. And the gvura does not stand only in the gvura, but is something deeper than gvura. After the full complement of all the conjugations, then that essence that was the basis of the entire process surfaces. This is the yovel, this is the 50. The 50 that incorporates and includes everything.
Why conjugations? Like, what's the idea behind why there needs to be all the conjugations before this principle surfaces? It needs to, well, the full expression of it needs to be.
Yes, it is. Again, there's as much to speak about. We don't have the oasis or avenues. The conjugation essentially reveals what is really contained deeply in this. You may point it in the following way. Like I said before, in everything there is what it is and that it is. And this that it is, as you said, there is the underlying atik element. Then there is, within each, there is also an element of that it is. To give tzedakah is a nice thing. Chesed. It's a good, nice thing. But what compels you to give tzedakah? If you watch it, it looks nice. What is the compelling element? This is the conjugation of all other spheres within the chesed. The gvura and the tiferes and the netzach and the hoid. What is the compelling element? It has to be real. And it's not just a nice thing and a good thing, but it's a must thing. And within each sphere there is the must element. And the must element within each sphere surfaces only when there is a full complement.
Wouldn't the reality, that is the must be, come before the qualities?
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't reveal itself until all the qualities are revealed.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's definitely there, But to reveal it has to go through the entire conjugation. I talked to the guys in yeshiva. You're in bed and you know you have to get up. Doesn't get you up. What gets you up? The must element. It's a completely different thing.
That must.
This is not. There's no reason. Reason will not get you up. There's something beyond reason.
So
and now we have reached the point where beyond reason we have to go to davening. Yes.
So there, that has to do. It seems to precede any discussion. You cannot lie in bed and have a big discussion then get up. There's a must.
But
do it
the must is not that you don't become aware of the must until you go through the entire discussion, the entire conjugation.
Oh, so there is a little internal discussion.
There's a discussion until you realize, hey, this is not going to happen. The discussion is not going to make it happen. In today's mentality, the psychology, think like this. It just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work, so that's why the must be seems to precede or be in place of the whole discussion.
No. But the must, you don't go straight there.
No.
You don't go straight there. You let me feel comfortable. I'll do it for this reason, or for that reason. Until you exhaust all the possibilities and then you realize the real force behind it is something different. And that's when it happens.
There is difference or is the same when you talk about Etzem and Mehut.
Yes. Essentially, Mehus is the Etzem as it provides for everything else. Mehus is the Etzem. Everything, Mehus is rooted in Etzem. But it's rooted in Etzem. It's a Mehus, it's how Etzem provides for everything else. But Etzem is an entity unto itself. Okay, this is it. I'm trying to overstate. Have a good day.
I was bringing to say that he said, I want to go to the mikvah. He's saying, he's speaking in him, Never Shah Muhammad, and that he says, Never Shah Muhammad tells him not to go to the mikvah. And he says to Never Shah Muhammad, he says, okay, you stay in bed, I'll go to the mikvah. It does help.
Yeah.